In 2011, 2 years after Choi Yeonseung left Earth, the evil constellations began their invasion of Earth. However, in the counterattack, in which all the hunters of the Earth participated, they were able to defend themselves. For Choi Yeonseung, this was nothing less than a heavy shock. So what's left for me to do, right? Why am I wandering in the abyss? Did the goddess misinterpret the prophecy? Or was the prophecy wrong from the beginning? At this moment, the constellation of dreams and greed says that something is not right. Choi Yeonseung wonders if something is wrong. The cat of lava and magma and the constellation of dreams and ambitions are analyzing that the battle was not small, they had been invaded, and if they combined their powers, they might be able to stop them. This is not a matter of strength or weakness. Constellations and mortals are entirely different entities. No matter how many hunters there are, to the constellations, they are no different from insects. He seemed enlightened. I understand now, this is a bit strange. Then Choi Yeonseung turned back and asked, did everyone defend themselves? How did you do it? Gainian replied, it's kind of like a ceasefire agreement. They were not confident they could take more land, and reclaiming land was too costly for them. Well, we were concerned about whether the ceasefire agreement would last, but for now, it is still effective. It was all thanks to the other constellations of the Earth who promised to protect us. The constellation of dreams and ambitions said, I see, if there are other constellations, it makes more sense. Even when constellations invade, they bestow power on their avatars and send them out. A constellation fighting alone like him is very peculiar, as other constellations must fight each other, meaning constellation versus constellation, embodiment versus embodiment. But Choi Yeonseung handles them all, so that's why the truce can be maintained. The balance was skewed because new constellations attacked, but in the end, it returned to the state when the abyss was first discovered, and they tried to avoid the situation where a full-scale battle had to be waged. They want all the souls for themselves, but they don't want to fight among themselves or lose an important servant, so they made a truce. Choi Yeonseung is extremely disappointed. No, before that, I have nothing left to do anyway, right? I wandered through the abyss to prevent the malicious constellations from attacking, but was I too late? Cat of Lava and Magma immediately said it was not true. But she thought it was, because the situation on Earth is still ongoing, even though he is a few decades late. But the truce will not last forever, and there are too many constellations in the abyss that will come to Earth. Cat of Lava and Magma warned you to be careful of the upcoming constellations, saying they would not be interested in the truce. That is, Choi Yeonseung exclaimed. Because if the situation worsens, Earth could become the center of a war between countless constellations. On this side, Daegon is killing monsters. He raised his hand and used his power to take down several vampires. Everyone applauded, saying how beautifully he shot. Wonderful job, Mr. Daegon, a truly impressive spell. Daegon, feeling bored, said, it's just a level 1 spell. Oh, I've never seen anyone use a level 1 spell so well. Even a level 1 spell can be different depending on the user, he added, the speed of the incantation, the power, the senses. I've never seen anyone like you before. Daegon felt annoyed and inconvenienced to the point of wanting to leave, but they still followed him persistently. He sighed in frustration, thinking, people have lost their minds. The two people behind him looked at Daegon like a tempting prey, whispering to each other, if he goes back to Earth, we'll be in luck. He must be B rank, right? No, he's definitely A rank. Did he say he has lost his memory? Great, let's do whatever it takes to separate him from Choi Yeonseung. They all shared the same thought. If they could take Choi Yeonseung's place, they wouldn't have to listen to that brat, Richard Parker, anymore. Daegon, feeling irritated, tried to escape the crowd and went over to Choi Yeonseung. Seeing his expression, Choi Yeonseung thought to himself, I wonder if something's wrong with Daegon? He looks like he's about to collapse. Looking to the side, Choi Yeonseung also saw Richard Parker looking very angry. Richard Parker spoke up, do you want to fight? Hearing this, Richard Parker was taken aback and gasped. He put his hands on his hips and said, should I let you guys fight? He hurriedly waved his hands, saying, no, that's not what I meant. Choi Yeonseung thought to himself, he was going to say that he wouldn't mind if they fought, but he was too scared, even though fighting in the dungeon is illegal. Has my morality been twisted because I've been in the abyss for too long? She warned, be careful, It seems that avoiding attention on Earth is still not enough. Predicting that constellations might fight on Earth, if the invincible embodiment of training cannot conceal himself, he might become a trigger. If other constellations knew that Choi Yeonseung was a constellation on Earth, they would not hold a truce anymore. Choi Yeonseung heeded the warning and reacted, "I will be cautious." Then he asked Gaenian, "I wonder how people who return from the abyss are treated. First, they will examine your body and ask you how you survived, as some people come back with mental issues. Then they will check if you have made a pact with malevolent constellations." Ah, you don't know about that. After malevolent constellations invaded Earth, making pacts with them has become illegal in most countries. Hearing this, Cat of Lava and Magma said that they are not malevolent constellations, and Choi Yeonseung added that due to the war, they are indeed strict. "And I've heard that the investigation is not too complicated." "Ah, where are you from?" "I'm Korean," and hearing that, Gaenian said, "then they might allow you to resettle." Over here, Odaigon is still focused on exterminating monsters. While Gaenian continues talking, "Resettlement might be good for your amnesiac friend." Choi Yeonseung looked over at Odaigon and whispered, "Odaigon, I have enough information about the situation on Earth." "Yes, Master, and I'm very curious about the skills of these hunters. Is there a way to check?" Odaigon nodded and said, "There is a spell called Rank Check. It tells you the average rank and skills of a person." Hearing this, Choi Yeonseung became excited and said, "Great, let's try it using that spell." Cat of Lava and Magma asked why you made Odaigon do that. Choi Yeonseung replied, "Because I can't use magic. Are you trying to tease me?" Cat of Lava and Magma was surprised and said, "You are mistaken. It said that as an incarnation of a constellation, you can check it yourself." Choi Yeonseung was a bit surprised and said, "You mean I should use my presence power? Then the nearby constellations will." It said you don't need to use presence power. It angrily exclaimed that constellations can easily do it. "Well then, let me try it," the system then announced. The constellation's eyes have been activated. He used his power to look at the captain. The hunter team was standing in front of him. To find out about Richard Parker. His stats. It now displayed Richard Parker, level 205, strength 198, agility 397, physical strength 200, magical power 202, intelligence 190. Seeing this, Cat of Lava and Magma said it's not difficult. Because it is a skill that allows you to learn about the enemy. It said this skill would be helpful if you get familiar with it. Choi Yeonseung nodded and said, "I understand, I can practice this skill too." After that, he and Odaigon teamed up to sweep through the monsters. In an instant, the monsters were completely annihilated. The system then appeared. The dungeon, the hallucinating magic mirror, has been conquered. Everyone was extremely delighted. "We did it. The dungeon will soon close." And what Choi Yeonseung was most looking forward to, finally, he was able to return to Earth. The dungeon, the hallucinating magic mirror, was conquered, and everyone was joyously cheering in excitement. The dungeon is about to close. He once again activated the Constellation Eye. The adamantium frying pan included durability, defense, skills to add magic to the ingredients, magical enhancement within the ingredients, sauce modification, heat magic alteration. And looking at the shiny pan in front of him, he thought, "This pan must at least be an A-rank artifact. I thought it would be easy to cook with." Then he activated self-conquest again. Choi Yeonseung's present power increased as he trained with the Constellation Eye. Odaigon looked at him with admiration. "Master, you are truly extraordinary." Scene change, outside the Mojave Desert in Nevada. The entrance is now sealed by the hallucinating magic mirror. Everyone now realizes something is wrong. There is a problem with the dungeon entrance. From above, a brilliant lightning bolt struck straight into the dungeon. "Don't let the reporters cross the barrier. The dungeon is unstable. It's very dangerous." A black hole appeared, pulling everything inside. The dungeon entrance is also gradually disappearing. Everyone is horrified by the scene before them. It's impossible. Have they really conquered the gate? The figures of the people inside gradually appeared. People stepped outside. Choi Yeonseung looked around dazzled and exclaimed, "The sky of Earth. So bright." The dungeon hallucinating magic mirror, conquered by the Ganas hunting team in the Mojave Desert. Its rank evaluation is AC rank dungeon. Richard Parker is overly excited. It is incapable, with thousands of vampires inside. A man is questioning Richard Parker and Ganian, saying, "This is the result. Even if you had a skilled mage helping you, a single F-rank monster is still a threat, you know that. The dungeon's rank is determined by the boss monster's strength. We considered the number during the test, which is why it was ranked C instead of F. Anyway, congratulations on safely returning. Your father was very worried." Richard Parker shook his head and sighed. Since Earth does not know about the Vampire King Tarun, they do not realize they have safely passed a dungeon that could have been ranked A. The fact that the group of hunters survived after entering the dungeon has shocked the public and become hot news right now. Many people can't believe it. The prince of the Parker clan survived hell. Choi Yeonseung read the news and said, "I don't understand why there are so many paparazzi. It seems our friend has become famous." Odigon was quite surprised. A prince? Is that Richard Parker a royal? He doesn't seem like one at all. Choi Yeonseung stretched out on the couch and said, "There's no way he's fit to be a true king. But I'm not good at English, yet I don't understand how I can read it." Cat of Lava and Magma said the constellation's eyes can see through a lowly existence. It also said that it's strange that the constellation can't understand human language. After a while, the nurse came out to announce that the results of your tests are in. "You're really very healthy." Choi Yeonseung thought to himself, "I really could understand English if I wanted to." The doctor was both surprised and praised Choi Yeonseung, saying, "I've never seen such a perfect body before. It's as if a deity has blessed you." He replied, "In the abyss, all I did was train. And your spirit also seems to be stable. You're really very lucky. In 30 years, you'll face difficulties when re-entering, but if you want to move to another country, we will help you." Hearing this from the doctor, Choi Yeonseung smiled. "I'll think about it." "Oh, if that's the case, then she acts like she doesn't want you to stay here." On the other hand, next to Choi Yeonseung, Odigon is also dealing with the trouble of being surrounded and pulled by a crowd. "If you lose your memory, don't worry, the US government will be by your side. The US is the richest and most powerful country, and its citizens are privileged. It turns out this is the reward that high-level magic users receive, which martial artists cannot comprehend." Odigon feels helpless and can only sigh in frustration. "I've heard you guys ramble on, and my response will always remain the same. I will follow you, Choi Yeonseung." Upon hearing this, Choi Yeonseung smiled with satisfaction. Someone ran to Choi Yeonseung and asked what had happened in the abyss that made him so loyal to you. Choi Yeonseung, content, said, "How would I know? By the time I met him, he had already lost his memory." Seeing this, the crowd started to gossip with unkind words, perhaps because he was the first person encountered after the memory loss. "Hey, Hunter Choi Yeonseung. Have you ever considered moving to another country? If you need anything, the government will help you. No other country is as accommodating to hunters as the US. Their attitude is genuinely different now." Choi Yeonseung expressed, "Can I get my green card first and think about it later?" He and Odigon sat down and observed the crowd. Odigon casually asked, "What are they doing over there?" Choi Yeonseung replied sarcastically, "They're using a low-grade artifact to communicate. I can easily intervene with magic. I'll let you hear what they're saying, okay?" After using Odigon's magic, both could hear the conversation of the four people. They were discussing whether he might stay here after getting the green card and live here for a while. Now he says no, but he will realize that the US is truly the best. "I'm still a bit worried." The magic user named Odigon, "I'm sure other countries will try to recruit him. We'll place spies around him so others can't approach him, and we'll continuously persuade him." Odigon smiled and said, "Master, they said they will keep an eye on us." Choi Yeonseung quickly retorted, "They'll watch you, not us." Odigon couldn't hold back, "Can I get rid of those spies?" "Hey Odigon, don't make things complicated, you understand, right?" Sorry, master. Someone returning still has to go through many procedures to get the hunter's green card." Choi Yeonseung was taken to the hospital for an exam. The exam was ready. "Hunter Choi Yeonseung, please complete this survey in 30 minutes. Be careful. Those pieces won't fall out during the test. So let's begin. Question 1. Have you ever made a pact with the constellation of the Warrior of Madness and Bloodshed? Question 2. Write a sarcastic piece about the Warrior of Madness and Bloodshed." He took out his pen and began the test. It seemed childish but was actually the most effective method. A servant who has made a pact with a constellation can never mock their master. This is the best way to determine if someone has made a pact with a malevolent constellation. Choi Yeonseung answered awkwardly. The warrior of madness and bloodshed is just as his name suggests. A pitiable madman and a pact made with his own intelligence after contacting constellations. The examiner said, "Now I will measure your mana. Please transfer your mana into the glass orb." "How much?" "As much as possible." "As much as possible?" Choi Yeonseung placed his hand on the orb and transferred the mana from his body. Refresh the hunter rank after 30 years on Earth. Since the examiner asked for as much as possible, Choi Yeonseung barely touched it, and the glass orb immediately shattered. "But the orb has shattered." Choi Yeonseung asked, "I still have a bit of mana left, can we try again?" "Let me see." He looked at the examiner and thought, to be able to move freely around here, it's better to get a higher rank than 30 years ago. I guess I'm at least in A rank, right? The crystal sphere used to measure mana contains far more mana than an average hunter does. If a hunter transfers mana into it, the sphere will change color and calculate the amount of mana you have, depending on whether you've leveled up or not. Someone asked Choi Yeonseung, "Have you not concealed your power, or was it a mistake? Because previously you fought only powerful enemies in the abyss." He sighed and said, "I'm not used to holding back, but I have a reason to use all my strength here." "You and the cat of lava and magma are confusing, so, is this intentional boasting?" Choi Yeonseung said softly, "I can't let them suddenly find out. The earth is different from the abyss, so it has its own rules. I can search for strong opponents in the abyss, but I can't do so freely on Earth. The opportunity to advance to rank A is only given to rank B hunters, not rank C hunters, so, if I want to reach the hero rank as planned, I have to advance my hunter rank whenever I get the chance." A few hours passed, and the examiner also informed Choi Yeonseung, "We have completed the checks." "Oh, yes." They then told Choi Yeonseung, "You can go back to the waiting room while we prepare the results." Hearing that, he stood up and went with Odaigon to the waiting room, asking him, "At least it's a B rank, right?" Odaigon complained, saying, "People have such a crude way of measuring strength." In the room, only the examiner was left. He took out his phone, his expression very suspicious. He then called, "This is the Ambitus Association, right? It's me, regarding the matter you asked about." The results for the previous test came in quickly. Odaigon was rated as B rank. "Oh, rank B. You're really holding back." "What about my rank?" Choi Yeonseung asked eagerly, pressing the button. But to his surprise, Choi Yeonseung was only rated C rank. At 57 years old, he felt despairing. "What's this? Still a C rank? And what's with my age?" His face darkened. "Has the average mana of hunters increased over the past 30 years? And I'm still 28 years old." At that moment, Richard Parker arrived. "Are you done?" Hearing this voice, Choi Yeonseung and Odaigon immediately turned around. "What's going on?" Richard Parker asked in surprise. "I thought I told you? You saved my life, so I'm definitely going to repay you. You don't have anywhere to stay after 30 years, do you? Come to my place, you can stay there as long as you want." Afterwards, the two of them got into his car. Sitting in the car, Odaigon remained highly alert. "Master, he seems quite suspicious. What's going on?" "His sudden kindness?" Choi Yeonseung questioned. "You're saying this just because he's human, right?" Odaigon quickly denied. "No, how could I?" "Odaigon, do you still remember when I killed Akafenrer? How could I forget? That was the day the divine gifted you, at a time when everyone was in despair." "Yes, I can't forget it either. The goblins praised me a lot and said that they owe me a debt of gratitude. Also, prepare some slime acid bath. It will help you relax by melting away your stiff muscles. Oh great constellation, please take these noble children. I'm not happy at all. Take care of your own kids." This made Choi Yeonseung uncomfortable, and Odaigon, upon hearing him, was shocked. How could it be? "Are you feeling uneasy?" He smiled awkwardly. "Oh, it's just a cultural difference. And I guess he wants to repay me because I saved him too." Odaigon honestly said, "I understand, they are a troublesome, greedy, and weak race, but they do know how to repay. I'm one of them too, and I'm very sorry." Choi Yeonseung asked, "You said your name is Richard Parker?" He nodded. "Yes, Richard Parker. You might not know, but the Parker family is quite famous." "Why do you ask?" "It's nothing. I'm just wondering when you'll give me all your wealth." Richard Parker looked like he was struck by lightning, exclaiming, "What?" Choi Yeonseung looked at Richard Parker in front of him and said nonchalantly, "I heard you say that you would give all your money to whoever saved you from the dungeon." "Ha, I'm just joking, I don't need much." Richard Parker tried to stay calm and said, "Go ahead." Immediately, Choi Yeonseung expressed, "I really don't need much, I just want you to provide me with a place to stay while I get settled. I've been in the abyss for too long, so I'm not used to the earth yet." Richard Parker, with a confident smirk, said, I remember I told you from the very beginning, it's fine where I am. I can easily do that for the person who saved my life. Don't underestimate Richard Parker." "Master," Odaigon asked quietly, "he's lending you a house, but why is he so arrogant?" Choi Yeonseung laughed, "You can be a bit arrogant if you have a big house on earth, Odaigon, but it's different in your kingdom." Suddenly, Richard Parker's car was blocked by a red vehicle. Richard Parker's car braked sharply, causing chaos inside. "Is this how you repay a life saved?" Richard Parker was bewildered. "No, what's happening?" The driver turned around and said, "Some crazy guy crashed into us." "What?" Choi Yeonseung frowned. "Is it an assassination? Could it be that an evil constellation has noticed us?" "No, they should have found us themselves," Odaigon said anxiously. "Master, should I take care of this?" "Let's see who it is first." After that, the two stepped out of the car. "I never thought I'd see a car like that in the desert. It must fit Americans well, right?" Odaigon looked puzzled. "Master," Choi Yeonseung replied calmly, "you noticed too?" "Yes. Only to see a man stepping out," and Odaigon continued, "That guy is very different." Choi Yeonseung looked at the man's physical features, from his build to his muscles, and assessed, he's still a mortal, but he's not comparable to others, he's very strong. Choi Yeonseung stared at the man, thinking, Asian. I feel like I've met him somewhere before. At that moment, the man spoke, "Hey." Richard Parker, stepping out of the car and seeing him, was greatly surprised. "Dragon, aren't you Dragon Wong?" "Yes, it's me, who are you?" "I'm Richard Parker." "Parker? Ah, you're the youngest son of the Parkers, right?" "Yes, that's right." Hearing this, Dragon Wong approached Richard Parker with a smile and said, "Alex seems worried about you becoming a hunter." "That doesn't matter to me." He chuckled, "Of course, you should do what you love." Then Dragon Wong moved in front of Choi Yeonseung. "I thought it might be me, but it's really you, Choi Yeonseung, you're surprising. I didn't expect this person to be the former president of your association." Choi Yeonseung was very surprised. "President, is that you, Jong Liang?" "Yes, kid, I heard you're here and would be visiting." "Long time no see, Choi Yeonseung." Everyone was astonished. "President? Really?" Both Odaigon and Richard Parker were equally stunned. Dragon Wong said, "Long time no see, kid." Hearing this, Richard Parker's jaw dropped in amazement. Then he asked, "Do you know him, Dragon Wong?" He cheerfully replied, "Yes," while Choi Yeonseung, bewildered, thought, "Dragon Wong?" Behind them, a group was astonished to see him. "It's true, S-rank hunter Dragon Wong. I heard he got remarried last month. That's his 19th marriage." Choi Yeonseung was shocked. "S-rank hunter? His 19th marriage?" "It's so. I remember back when Choi Yeonseung hadn't fallen into the abyss. The guild master was still quite young and casually told him, 'Choi Yeonseung, take it easy, our skills are far from being able to tackle a dungeon of level B.' Choi Yeonseung was confused. Is that the guild master I know?" 2011. Seoul was no exception in th. During the disaster known as the Seoul catastrophe, all the hunter guilds in and the guild master of the Und was one of the hunters who participated, and thanks to the efforts of hunters like him, South Korea managed to withstand the invasion. He also had nothing left to lose, so it should be enough. "We've done everything we could. We've protected everything we could." The guild master embraced everyone, saying, "You all are heroes." Afterwards, the government called the risky hunters who fought for their lives heroes, issued an urgent notice, and thanked the hunters fighting on the front lines, and just like before, those heroes received nothing but the title, those who cared nothing for themselves to save the country. But when they were injured and needed treatment, they weren't even covered by insurance. Seeing the government's unfair and indifferent treatment towards those they themselves called heroes made the president extremely angry. When looking at the team members, the president couldn't help but lose his temper. "Not covered? That's really damn awful. So what about the hunter healthcare rewards? The team member sadly said, "I don't meet the requirements." They said that the fragments weren't considered injuries from monsters. It's extremely hard to find a hunter who can treat such wounds. Therefore, after that, his good impression of South Korea completely vanished, so he went to America after hearing that they treated hunters very well. Dragon Wong told Choi Yeonseung about getting support and being able to drive away monsters. He also started a business and even appeared on TV, and then somehow ended up here. Choi Yeonseung, curious, asked how much money he had made for the son of a wealthy family to kneel before him. Dragon Wong just smiled and said, "Choi Yeonseung, do you know where I live? I live on Hunter's Hill. Don't know Hunter's Hill? It's the most expensive land around." "Ah, I see. Kid, you're still just like back then. You're so quiet now. What kind of monster disappears after leaving a letter? And what's this about training in the abyss?" The president recounted how he held Choi Yeonseung's letter in disbelief, saying, "I knew he was obsessed with training, but I never imagined he was actually crazy." Even the members of the group were stunned and found it hard to believe. "We should have taken him to the hospital years ago." Some members of the group suggested that they should announce that you had died. When Choi Yeonseung heard this, he was astonished, saying, "Really?" Continuing, "Because almost no one survives after entering the abyss. The old members even organized a funeral for you. Do you know how shocked I was to see your name on the list of those who returned from the abyss?" "Hey, Parker kid." Richard Parker replied fearfully, "Yes." He leaned in and said, "I haven't even asked, but why is he sitting in your car?" Richard hesitated and answered, "He saved my life, so I am repaying him. I thought you were planning to take him to your house for an autopsy or something, but I didn't expect such a thoughtful reason. I will forgive you." Richard was extremely embarrassed in front of him. "Thank you, sir. In front of us is Los Angeles, USA." At this moment, Dragon Wong suggested, "Hey, did you hear that? Change the destination to my house. Yes, I will take you there." Choi Yeonseung pondered deeply. 30 years have really passed, and machines have flown everywhere. The City of Saints, Los Angeles, after the gate opened, has become the home of many prestigious and wealthy hunters. And the members of the Hunters Guild, fans who want to join the guild, and the merchants focusing on business with these hunters all come here, making this city the place with the most hunters on Earth. After I arrived in the US, I told them to inform me before anyone returned from the abyss, and I threatened to move to another country if they missed even one person. Seeing the police send reports to me was quite enjoyable. Choi Yeonseung listened intently as the president recounted, "Did they do it because of you? Otherwise, if I just moved to another country, they would suffer." Choi Yeonseung admired, "It's important that our house is really big. The house is like the whole Olympic Stadium." Richard spoke up on one side, "That's probably where his staff lives." Hearing that, Choi Yeonseung found it hard to believe. "What?" Richard then said, "Dragon Wong's villa is a bit further in." "What is that? That?" They are lining up, Choi Yeonseung with 100 questions like why, for what, it's not a bank. Dragon Wong interrupted, "Of course it's to meet me, to meet you? But why, to that extent? They came to ask me for a chance." "A chance for what?" "Well," Dragon Wong pushed his glasses down and said, "A lot. I will explain slowly." Seeing the strange things in front of him, Choi Yeonseung continuously asked the chairman. Back home, he saw Choi Yeonseung in a daze and thought to himself, what has happened in the past 30 years? If someone said he was a person returning from the abyss, it wouldn't sound like a lie at all. Looking at the panda eating, Choi Yeonseung blankly asked, "Did you steal these?" This made Dragon Wong come over too. "Hey, what do you mean steal? I received them from the Chinese government. They sent them when begging me to go there." "Why do they need you?" Dragon Wong snapped his fingers. "I understand now, you don't know because you're in the abyss." With just a snap of the fingers, many people immediately rushed over. Indeed, having money makes a difference. Dragon Wong is serious. "Is everyone here?" Everyone replied in unison, "Yes. Please bring me the best tutors." Dragon Wong pointed to Choi Yeonseung and instructed in detail. Politics, economics, art, world history and local history. One topic at a time. Teach him everything. Richard Parker left after a while and, sitting in the driver's seat, the driver asked, "Mr. Richard Parker, is it all right to leave like this?" "What's the matter?" "The chance to meet Dragon Wong. People have to wait for months to meet him." Richard Parker frowned and said, "Those two aren't Parkers, why should I beg for an opportunity?" Besides, I feel that the longer I stay there, the more I lose my vitality. At Dragon Wong's home, he had the best tutors called over: politics, economics, painting, domestic events, and appreciation. Even for any currently popular idols, random knowledge like that. We have to teach everything. Hearing this, the secretary suddenly spoke up. Sorry sir, but isn't that scope a bit too broad? Why are you doing this? This remark irritated Dragon Wong, making him angry. What's your name? I'm Secretary No. 7, Jackson. Immediately, he was fired by Dragon Wong. After that, he said, I pay and hire you because I need you to handle these troublesome tasks. I'm not paying you to disobey me. Do you think I'm joking? As he was speaking, someone interrupted. No, sir. This made Dragon Wong show displeasure. The loud-mouthed one. Which secretary are you? I'm Secretary No. 6. Immediately, Dragon Wong reproached him. Oh, I remember now. I told you to invite all the models from the Playboy to the party, but you missed one person. Well, that's it. You're someone who just makes excuses, or do you actually want to work here? Secretary No. 6 was frightened. I will work, he said. Then go ahead, Dragon Wong replied. After everyone had left, Dragon Wong said with a smile, ha ha. Now we can talk. Choi Yeonseung looked disappointed. Bro, you've really turned into a jerk. Bro, you've really turned into a jerk. Hearing this, Dragon Wong was confused. What? Why? You fired someone just because they asked a question? Do you know how much I paid them? He then beckoned Jackson, the previous secretary No. 7, come here for a moment, and he responded, yes, sir. Dragon Wong asked, how long have you been working here? Jackson replied, about 2 weeks. Dragon Wong then asked, how much were you paid during that time? Jackson answered, about $230,000. Dragon Wong angrily shouted at Choi Yeonseung, see? I paid him so much, and you fire him like that? Choi Yeonseung retorted, what does salary matter if you fire him like that? I was warning them before hiring. I will pay you the highest salary, but if you make one mistake, you will be fired. They know what they signed. But Yeonseung didn't want to hear any explanations. Whatever the case, I'm so disappointed. Dragon Wong sighed and said, all right, you can start working again. Jackson immediately bowed and thanked him. Dragon Wong complained, do you really have to be like this? As the president, you should set an example. Hearing this, Dragon Wong fell silent and did not respond. Today is also Choi Yeonseung's first lesson with the female tutor. I am majoring in dungeon studies at Stanford University. And I am the manager of 2 B-rank hunters and 1 A-rank hunter. Hearing this, Jackson spoke up, I understand. I used to run the 500 kilograms club back in high school. I'm well aware. I will quickly go over everything that has happened in the past 30 years in 30 minutes. Choi Yeonseung was taken aback by one surprise after another, leaving him dumbfounded. So, the Constellation demon god has taken over China, Korea, Europe, and Latin America. The tutor clapped her hands. Exactly, it's northeastern China, the UK, and surrounding areas in Europe, and Mexico in Latin America. You have a good memory. The invasion of Northeast Asia in May 2012. Korea was not yet occupied. Korea was one of the few countries that remained in very good condition throughout the invasion. But afterward, many hunters migrated abroad, with the US benefiting the most. Choi Yeonseung whispered, President, do you mean Zhang Liang left Korea at that time? Yes, that's right. Oh, what happened to the president? I mean, he's such a nice guy, and every day he gets rejected by women. He used to be so scared of entering the dungeon at level B. But now at 70, he's married for the 19th time, using the name Dragon Wong, and is a level S hunter, ridiculously rich too. Cat of Lava and Magma says this is very good for us. Let's bring that hunter under our command. Choi Yeonseung doesn't understand what the cat means by under our command. The cat says, wasn't he very reliable? Choi Yeonseung agrees with that. He is very trustworthy, but if Choi Yeonseung goes to meet Dragon Wong and suggests, brother, I have something to tell you. I went to the abyss to protect the world, then became a constellation after 10,000 years of struggling there, so become my vassal. If you imply that to him, it will make Dragon Wong freeze, and he will assume that Choi Yeonseung has just been drugged. After speaking to the cat said it's not that bad, but Choi Yeonseung hesitated. If I explained it clearly, he might understand, but... The cat asked if something was wrong. He nodded, yes, and then Choi Yeonseung reflected that the president had been searching for him for 30 years without giving up. He is absolutely trustworthy. The next day, Dragon Wong took him to the training room. Is this a training facility? Yes, it's similar to your usual training place. Choi Yeonseung thought again that he didn't want him to get involved in the conflicts between the constellations. Choi Yeonseung felt enlightened by this place. You exclaim, the usual practice space. This place is as big as a theater. Do you invite singers over when you have parties here? Dragon Wong laughs, it's even bigger than that. At this moment, Dragon Wong is casting the reverse world spell inside. The cat is surprised to see the reverse world spell. Dragon Wong is astonished by Choi Yeonseung. You maintain your balance so easily. For someone who has returned from the abyss like Choi Yeonseung, maintaining balance should not be a challenge. He calmly says, what's so surprising? Is it that difficult? The cat comments that this spell is commonly used by the constellations and is surprised that a mortal can use it too. At this point, stabilizing the reverse world is also complete. With everything prepared, Dragon Wong calls out to Choi Yeonseung, you won't get hurt in the reverse world. Just think of it as a super advanced virtual reality game, got it? The cat mentions that this spell is very useful when constellations use it to train their attendants, and that constellations often use it for entertainment or leisure. Choi Yeonseung, curious, asked, did you learn the reversal magic from a constellation? Hearing that question, Dragon Wong burst into laughter. A constellation? That's a common spell. Seeing something was off, he continued, no, on second thought. Perhaps a constellation taught someone else before. There might be some sort of conspiracy. You have no idea how dirty those constellations can be. Choi Yeonseung said firmly, but with such a war mechanism, the hunters on Earth must really be ready. Dragon Wong frowned. War, huh? What are you talking about? This is for sports, Dragon Wong said. Upon hearing this, Choi Yeonseung's expression immediately changed. Sports? Using magic to play soccer? He clicked his tongue. Those old tricks are so outdated. He snapped his fingers. Illusions immediately appeared on the screen, with the center of the entertainment industry now being the sport of hunting. The Six-Star Alliance is a game in which 6 hunters form a team to compete against another team, hunting monsters, attacking, timing, and participating in death matches, with a variety of rules. A system notification appeared, indicating that the red team had successfully hunted a mid-level boss and earned 5 points. Dragon Wong stood behind Choi Yeonseung and asked, looking very pleased, right? At this moment, the system continued to notify that he had entered the reverse world. You need to limit your strength. Otherwise, the reverse world could collapse. You understand this spell is human cast, so clearly it cannot withstand the full power of Constellation. Your power is being restricted. Your agility and physical strength have been limited, and so on. Choi Yeonseung marveled, feeling as if weights were being placed on his body. The system activated the skill of self-conquest. If you limit your strength and fight in the reverse world, your power will increase. Hearing this, Choi Yeonseung smiled cunningly. Muttering that this is also practice, Dragon Wong wondered, what are you mumbling about? The cat said this is a good opportunity. Are you asking to practice? The cat said that constellations cannot secretly look into the inverted world or the dungeons, so you can feel free to do whatever you want. You then understood that it meant you wanted me to reveal my identity to him and turn him into a retainer? I already said that dragging someone who is living well into this is a bit. You were speaking, then stopped to look at Dragon Wong, who was brimming with excitement. Continue, and from the beginning, I am not the type to rule over others. I am more like a warrior who fights. The cat continued, to fight other constellations, there will be times when you need your own retainer. It's even stranger for a constellation to fight alone. You reluctantly responded, I will keep that in mind. Dragon Wong came over and asked, what are you spaced out about? Were you shocked by SSL? It's completely different from 30 years ago. You said the inverted world magic makes training hunters much more realistic. Choi Yeonseung, how many times have I told you? This is not practice. This is a sport, the most popular sport in the world. Choi Yeonseung wondered if hunters only punched each other without training? He answered because this is a competitive sport. Do people watch this? Like football or baseball? He replied, comparing it to those two would be a joke. The only thing that can be compared is UHC, which is also a hunter sport. Finding the strongest hunter by one-on-one matches. After watching UHC, other sports will seem very dull. Master, does Choi Yeonseung seem excited? Choi Yeonseung then replied, not really. Dragon Wong, hearing this, made a decisive remark, because you know he is the strongest, right? To be honest, I am a bit surprised. I am preoccupied with the safety of Earth. Even during training, I worry about being late and have always looked for ways to return to Earth. But now, hunters on Earth have become sports stars? The cat said something made it worried. SSL and UHC are similar ideas to constellations. It might seem unfamiliar to the incarnation of training, but this is similar to how constellations use retainers for combat. Perhaps this is related to why the inverted world magic has become popular in this world. Choi Yeonseung thought, is it intentional to spread this to find potential retainers? Dragon Wong said, so today's hunters, many have no experience in dungeons. So why do they become hunters? Naturally, it's for money, and fame follows. Regardless of what you think, if you are good, you can earn more money than you could spend in a lifetime. That's why many people line up outside my house. I think I've told enough. What about your story? Why did you train in the abyss? You weren't deceived, right? This question startled you. Dragon Wong was surprised. Were you really deceived? Choi Yeonseung replied, it's a long story. But I have something to ask you before I tell it. Can you increase the power of the inverted world a bit? It's limiting a lot of my power. Dragon Wong was puzzled. Wait, this room is for A-rank hunters. What's your rank? You replied C+. I really can't showcase my martial arts skills, so I broke the martial arts meter, but it might still not be enough. Dragon Wong asked, but you are C+? Did someone bribe those guys? I'll check later. But you are stronger now, so does this make you uncomfortable? Yes. Why did you go to the abyss? It's a long story, so tell me a shorter version. Simply put, you said seriously it was to save Earth. Dragon Wong looked puzzled. Say, or tell a longer version. Alright. After hearing the story, Dragon Wong asked if you had become a constellation while wandering in the abyss and if you had now returned to protect Earth. You nodded instead of answering. Dragon Wong continued, so do I need to call you boss now? That's not what I meant. Dragon Wong yelled, do you think I'll believe you? I thought you would believe me, but who would believe this? Do you know how many crazy people have returned from the abyss? So, Choi Yeonseung placed his hand on his chest and asked, will you believe me if I show you my power? Dragon Wong looked at him. Realizing this is why you asked me to remove the restrictions, you replied, I don't know about others, but I want to tell you. Dragon Wong took off his coat and told Choi Yeonseung, no matter how strong you are, you've probably never seen a grade S hunter before. Do you know how many special opportunities I've had? An A+ skill before death, called leveling up with death. Choi Yeonseung smirked and said, you really have lived like those main characters after becoming so fond of fantasy novels. You're the weird one, the old man rushed over. Don't you remember how much you used to love martial arts novels? Let's fight. Dragon Wong said to Choi Yeonseung, oh my. You're just a bookworm too. You used to love martial arts novels. In a louder voice, Dragon Wong asked Choi Yeonseung, have you ever heard of artifact tattoos? He raised his tattooed arm with many strange characters for Choi Yeonseung to see. Choi Yeonseung thought upon seeing it, artifact tattoos? He performed his magic. It was Yeo's magic arrow. Choi Yeonseung's expression hardened, and he became more serious. Dragon Wong angrily said, get out of the way. Choi Yeonseung confidently replied, no need. You began to use your abilities. Attacking Dragon Wong. He did not expect Choi Yeonseung to be so cunning. He almost fell for your attack. Dragon Wong recalled his long past as the first champion of UHC, realizing that he had always forced opponents to focus on defense by attacking them faster. Dragon Wong made an effort to create a large explosion. With his impressive pose of arms and legs on the ground, he used the level 6 skill, Lava Path. Choi Yeonseung, at a reasonable distance from Dragon Wong, asked, when did you learn these spells? Dragon Wong, a bit irritated, said, you're underestimating me, aren't you? This guy. A fire sword was thrown in front of Choi Yeonseung, and Choi Yeonseung, undaunted, gripped it tightly. He created another large fire wave in front of him. Choi Yeonseung prepared for an attack, analyzing silently, using level 6 magic consecutively. So, Choi Yeonseung closed his eyes and decided to act once more. But this time, in a completely different way, using a protective air shield. The firestorm from Dragon Wong became harmless in front of Choi Yeonseung's solid protective wall. He impatiently shouted, "Isn't that technique just a rumor from the Chinese?" Choi Yeonseung, confused, asked, "What are you talking about?" Dragon Wong explained briefly, "There's a very famous fake video showing a similar technique to your skill." Hearing this, Choi Yeonseung found it hard to accept the truth. His face darkened, and sweat formed on his temples. "What? Even these things are fake?" After that, he looked at your hand with a grim face, realizing that after just using one protective air shield, your energy was nearly depleted, probably because the power was limited and could not be avoided. "And I have to control my strength so as not to break this reversed world. It's such a headache, it's been a long time since I fought like a human." Choi Yeonseung was determined. "Then I'll maximize my efficiency." You started to grip your green staff with your arm. You thrust it straight at Dragon Wong, unleashing a burst of enhancement. Dragon Wong didn't expect this, so he stuttered. "Is this a short-distance teleportation?" Your magic was interrupted by a strong gust of wind. The short-distance teleportation was cancelled, and you suffered damage from the recoil. He was extremely surprised. Wasn't it supposed to be cancelled before activation? How could his skill activate so quickly? "I have no other choice. I'll use my body enhancement power, take this." Before he could finish speaking, Choi Yeonseung had him caught. You twisted Dragon Wong's wrist, throwing him backwards. Choi Yeonseung laughed. "Are you planning to fight hand-to-hand with a martial artist? Are you always this hasty?" Dragon Wong was pinned down by you, trying to speak. "I'm confused because I don't usually fight martial artists." Choi Yeonseung and Dragon Wong moved to a brighter place and sat down. This time, he had cut back on his previous aggressive actions. He and Choi Yeonseung faced each other and talked. Dragon Wong spoke first. "So what's the level of martial arts?" "Top tier? Are you a top-tier martial artist?" Choi Yeonseung looked at him seriously. "I'm beyond the top tier. I'm the pinnacle of the pinnacle, and if you take one more step, you'll surpass humanity." Dragon Wong adjusted his glasses, looking contemplative. "So, are you really a constellation?" Choi Yeonseung replied straightforwardly, "Yes." Dragon Wong held his head. "Do you know how laughable this is?" Choi Yeonseung answered honestly, "Seeing my kind-hearted and honest brother change into this, it's laughable indeed." He didn't think so and said, "Well, I succeeded, didn't I?" You raised your hand and said with a smile, "I said it's fine, I'm a constellation." He didn't beat around the bush and asked directly, "All right. Let's say you are a constellation, what do you want from me?" Choi Yeonseung looked deeply into his eyes. "Initially, I intended to ask for your help." Choi Yeonseung began to explain, "Although the constellations agreed to a truce, the agreement is only temporary. New constellations could emerge from the abyss at any time. And the constellations who are currently at truce might plot to invade Earth behind our backs." Choi Yeonseung sighed a little. "Other constellations already have many subordinates on Earth, so they are well aware. On the other hand, I'm just starting out, so I'm at a disadvantage." Dragon Wong seemed to sense that Choi Yeonseung had something else. "Wait a minute, wasn't the initial plan for you to ask me for help?" Choi Yeonseung calmly explained, "Since you have your own life, I didn't want to drag you into this trouble." He was a bit stunned. He didn't expect that Choi Yeonseung, who was younger than him, would have such thoughts. This kid has been in the Earth Protection Society inside the abyss for 10,000 years, while I'm just showing off because I'm older. Dragon Wong slammed his hand on the ground. Not showing anger towards Choi Yeonseung, he said, "Hey, who are you worrying about? I'm the one who should worry about you, not the other way around, and if not me, who else will help you?" Choi Yeonseung replied, "You don't have to worry about it." Dragon Wong shouted at Choi Yeonseung, "I will help you. Wait, don't you need help if I'm offering to assist?" "Are you sure?" Dragon Wong firmly asserted, "Absolutely." Choi Yeonseung began to close his eyes in contemplation. "Well, if you say so." At this moment, Cat of Lava and Magma spoke up. "I'm very impressed with your conversational skills." Cat of Lava and Magma said you mimicked him perfectly. Choi Yeonseung mischievously replied, "That was genuine emotion. You still think of Dragon Wong as a talented son. I don't want someone I know to get caught up in the war among the constellations, but it seems he won't back down." Choi Yeonseung smiled. Yes, Zhang Liang has always been that kind of person. Then accept my proposal. The system appeared and announced, Constellation, the undefeated avatar of training, wishes for you to accept the invitation to become his servant. Will you accept? Dragon Wong was surprised. Huh? Serve him? Choi Yeonseung immediately explained, I am a constellation, after all. Dragon Wong responded. I guess that must be the case. Though he felt a bit annoyed, once the words were spoken, they couldn't be taken back. Working under someone younger. It is what it is. Announcement. You have become the attendant of the undefeated avatar of training. Your soul has been bound to this constellation. If you disobey the rules of the constellation, you may be punished. As an attendant of a constellation, you will grow even stronger. He, Odaigon, and Dragon Wong were sitting inside a cafe. At this moment, Dragon Wong asked, all these years, I never thought I'd make a pact with a constellation. His face darkened as he thought, serving a constellation is equivalent to selling your soul to them. Then he cautiously asked Choi Yeonseung, wait, if I sign this pact, won't all the actions within my guild be monitored? Choi Yeonseung shook his head and replied, if you don't want that, we don't have to monitor them. Dragon Wong, now more excited, chimed in, hey, so what's the plan? How can I help? Choi Yeonseung hesitated for a moment before saying, the initial plan is to conceal the fact that I'm a constellation, because if it gets out, it could be quite troublesome. So a constellation has to hide their power? You added, I'll continue to increase the number of my followers while keeping my identity as a constellation a secret. I need followers when I face other constellations, alright, trust me. But can you really fight one-on-one against a grand demon and win? Dragon Wong responded, a grand demon, don't you only capture them during raids? Hunters always move in teams, trying to take them down one-on-one is just unreasonable. Hearing that, Choi Yeonseung thought to himself, he doesn't seem very confident. Choi Yeonseung, I hope you're not thinking I'll lose, are you? When Choi Yeonseung was called out, he quickly defended himself, no, really, I'm not. Dragon Wong nodded in agreement, right. Whether it's in SSL or UHC, be it team matches or solo play, I'm always very confident, I never feel scared, whether it's against a constellation or whatever else, I just fight in my own way. Choi Yeonseung thought to himself, the kind of magic often used in sports called the reverse world, is also the type commonly used by constellations. It's strange that humans participating in hunter sports would use this magic. Cat of Lava and Magma agrees with you. The reason this magic has become so popular is because all constellations fight the same way. The Battle of the Constellations, where the followers of the constellations are sent out to fight each other. It's highly likely that the constellations intentionally made hunter sports like SSL and UHC so popular, as it makes it easier to select followers based on their performance. Choi Yeonseung asked, isn't that a bit bold to assume? Are you saying the constellations actually watch these silly tournaments? Well, they can be quite entertaining, Cat of Lava and Magma said. Don't underestimate how bored the constellations can get. In fact, most of the constellations are writhing in the agony of boredom right now. Anyway, if the followers fight in a style similar to Earth's hunter sports, this will be a big advantage for you, Zhang Liang, since you're already used to this kind of combat, being the hunter champion. Besides increasing the number of followers, becoming the target of their envy is also very important. I get it, you need to increase your reputation as a hunter, right? Choi Yeonseung nodded, probably, yes. The strongest hunter, when an A-rank dungeon opens, the national government will plead for this hunter's help. Although people often claim their country's hunter is the strongest, deep down in their hearts, they know very well who the strongest hunter really is, the one they can trust and admire. I understand now, Choi Yeonseung has more than enough skill, but the challenge is getting the whole world to see it. I'll introduce a guild to him. A guild? Choi Yeonseung said, they disbanded already. How long are you going to keep digging this up? Do you know how many groups I manage? It's not just one guild, I'll have you know, the profits of the company affiliated with my guild are very high. All the core items and materials from the dungeons are acquired by this company, along with subsidies and bonuses, etc. As long as you can prove your loyalty, they will reward you handsomely, so everyone wants to join this guild. You've seen it at the entrance, right? Choi Yeonseung simply asked, but why are you telling me to join a guild? I can handle it on my own. Hearing this, Dragon Wong slammed the table in fury and shouted at Choi Yeonseung, "Hey! If you're trying to hide the fact that you're a constellation, then why are you acting so arrogant? You need to conceal your corresponding power, got it?" Seeing this, Choi Yeonseung nodded, "You're right. Although I've managed to limit my power as much as possible, as long as I can control it well, I can still fight at S rank. I'll send you to a guild that only accepts top-ranked candidates, so find a few gems there. You can recruit them as followers if they prove themselves useful." Not a bad idea. But won't they dislike it if a C-rank martial artist hunter like me joins the guild? Dragon Wong quickly replied, "They won't like it at all." Hearing this, Choi Yeonseung's face darkened. Dragon Wong sighed, "So what do you want me to do?" "Rank up yourself," Choi Yeonseung pondered. "As long as I reach A rank, I'll become a strategic weapon controlled by the nation. Only those who perform well are honored with S rank." Come to think of it, it's amazing that Zhang Liang is S rank since that title is given to fewer than 10 people in the world. Dragon Wong got excited. "Start doing everything you can, for now, participate in the UHC qualifiers." Qualifiers? Do you know how many hunters want to compete in UHC? You have to pass the qualifiers and win to be accepted as a professional in the league, and do you know how much people want to reach that position? Participate in the qualifiers within a week and get familiar with it until then. Get familiar with what? Choi Yeonseung, do you even know how to use a smartphone? Then he took out a phone and handed it to Choi Yeonseung. "Look, this is what people use for everything, including getting news. Oh, so I can also check Korean news. How do you use it?" He fiddled with it. Then he looked up the latest news about Korea. The headlines read, "The leadership of Coach Lee Chong-sik will. The collapse of guilds in Korea. The Asian Union. A bleak future for Korea's national team." Reading these articles, Choi Yeonseung was a bit surprised. Mr. Lee Chong-sik? The vice president of the guild is a coach? They talked for a long time. Dragon Wong returned to his workplace, didn't call his secretary, and said to them, "Tell the hunters department to bring the measuring equipment here immediately. We need to re-evaluate someone." "Yes, sir." And we need a reliable manager as well. You guys are useless." "Ah, where's my daughter?" The secretary spoke up. "Which one, sir?" Bring the 10th, no, 11th, the hot-headed one." "Ah, you mean her?" "The A-ranked manager." Dragon Wong immediately said, "Yes, call Anya Lorenz here. But I don't blame Anya Lorenz for liking Choi Yeonseung, because he's quite cunning as well. At the training center right now, Anya Lorenz is busy training the hunters." At this moment, Bagan was extremely exhausted, sweating and collapsed on the ground, lamenting, "How is this possible? I can't believe I failed to control a level 3 spell." Anya Lorenz looked at Bagan and said, "Having a lot of mana doesn't mean you can control advanced spells. You should have reviewed the level 1 spell more carefully." But Bagan, being stubborn, didn't want to listen and argued, "I'm a C-ranked hunter. I even received recruitment offers from major guilds. How can you make me keep practicing level 1 spells? And that magic arrow you just caught with your bare hands, what was that? What are you?" Bagan's attitude made Anya Lorenz extremely angry. She immediately walked out and bluntly spoke to his manager. "Bagan isn't worth training, I don't want to deal with him, so you handle it yourself." Hearing this, he responded helplessly, "Yes, I'm sorry, Miss Anya Lorenz." Then, with a gloomy expression, he walked into the room. Seeing him, Bagan asked, "Senior, that woman, what is she?" Furious, he kicked Bagan and immediately unleashed a barrage of curses. "Idiot! Do you even know who you just went up against?" Bagan didn't understand why he was making such a big deal out of it. "What did I do? Isn't she just a manager?" "Fool! She's Anya Lorenz, a B-rank hunter and a renowned manager. She's highly valued, capable of turning rookies into gems for our guild. I didn't say anything because she prefers to keep her identity hidden. But you've brought this upon yourself. Do you realize what you've done, you fool? She's Anya Lorenz, a special A-rank manager, a B-rank hunter, and the 11th daughter of Zhang Liang Dragon Wong." A few days later, he and Odaigon went to the Hunters Arena. This was also the venue for the qualifying rounds. Choi Yeonseung looked up and thought to himself, "Is this where the qualifiers are held?" Hunters were gathered all around. The place was crowded with them. Choi Yeonseung let out a small sigh and thought to himself, "Hunters are still the same." Then he spoke softly, "The winner of the tournament becomes a professional, right? Is there anything else I should know? The person next to him suddenly spoke up. This is the qualifier for the C-rank tournament, but there will be many D and E-rank hunters participating too. There will always be other opportunities, so just relax and take this as an experience to learn from. Hearing him, Choi Yeonseung smiled and replied, "Thanks for the advice, I'll keep that in mind." Turning around, he noticed Odigon was still glued to his phone. He reminded him, "Odigon, stop playing games, I'll be back." "Oh, yes, master. I mean, sir." Then he went inside, and Odigon called out, "See you later. I'll wait for you here." Choi Yeonseung scratched his head, thinking, looks like this will take all day. Are hunter sports really that exciting? In the waiting room of the tournament, Choi Yeonseung glanced around at everyone. Besides the contestants, there were also reporters. People from various media companies and recruiters from different guilds were present too. Kupi was sitting there working and started to grumble, "That bastard of a captain. How can there be any good hunters in these kinds of qualifying rounds? Why did he make me come here?" Someone spoke up, "Right? We just need to wait, and maybe some good hunters will show up soon. I haven't seen you here before. Where are you from?" Seeing him ask, you respond, "I belong to a guild, the recruiting division of the Ambitus, Kupi Guild." After speaking, you think to yourself, that person operating the measuring device, could he be a fraud? In the staff office, someone called to inform the team leader, something unexpected has happened. He's damaged the measuring device. Hearing that, the team leader replied, "Could it be that the device was faulty? Is that why it broke?" But the person on the phone insisted, "No, he's the real deal." After hanging up, he said to Kupi, "A man returned from the abyss? From 30 years ago, no less. Surely, he's not all there mentally, yet he passed all the tests without any issues. If he's from 30 years ago, then it makes sense that he's a martial arts hunter." Kupi asked, "Should we send someone to recruit him?" He furrowed his brow, thinking, can an ordinary person really break a measuring device? Could they be exaggerating because they've been paid off? With that thought, he said, "A warrior, somehow, that doesn't quite add up. So should we pass on him? No, if they've been paid, he must be of some use. That's why they contacted us. Even if he didn't actually break the device, he must still possess a significant amount of magic power, right? Go there and confirm it in person. If his magic power is high, then you can ask him to learn sorcery." Kupi, puzzled, asked, "How should I even say that?" He boasted and said, "How you do it is up to you. Do you think you deserve the recruitment salary just for some reason?" Kupi struggled to suppress his rage, thinking to himself, damn it. There's no other way now. Let's see how good you are at martial arts. The brat returned from the abyss, and at the waiting room, Choi Yeonseung was also notified, "Please proceed." Choi Yeonseung slowly entered the arena. The system displayed, "You have entered the virtual world. You need to control your strength. The virtual world can be destroyed. You need to control your strength." Seeing the system notification, Choi Yeonseung must limit his power. Choi Yeonseung thought to himself, right, the one at home with Dragon Wong is. At this moment, the system notified again, "You have successfully entered the virtual world. Your strength has been limited, your agility has been limited, your stamina. Activate subdue the strong, assist the weak. Perhaps I can use key punches to a certain extent. If you fight in the virtual world with limited potential, your present power will increase. It seems I can also use a storm of punches. A large limit has been set. Your present power has increased." Choi Yeonseung muttered, "The harder I face, the more it increases. It seems effective as mentioned." The opponent facing you is a burly bald man. He feels uncomfortable hearing you mutter, "What are you rambling about? Are you crazy?" The referee said softly, "No, I just think it will be a good experience." He looked at Choi Yeonseung and smirked, "It seems you want to die." The referee said at this moment, "You will be disqualified if you start fighting before the signal is given. Surely you all know the rules, but you can use any skills without restriction. In the event that one of the two surrenders or both are unable to continue fighting, the match will end." Choi Yeonseung stretched and yawned. The camera broadcasted live broadcast of the UHC qualifying match. Close the chat window. People below commented, "Is he yawning? Must be an act. I guess he has to put on a tough front to make it more interesting. Good job. Today's hunters don't know how to hype anything. We just need to show off a bit." For the first time, stream viewers got to see the fighter after a long time. To them, Choi Yeonseung seemed like a living fossil. In a room, 4 people were working inside. They discussed, Choi Yeonseung, he's rank C, should put on a good show. If he's at this rank, shouldn't he spend time leveling up? Yeah, is he a fighter? An excited person spoke up. Wait, there are still fighters nowadays? It's been a long time since we've seen one. Back to Choi Yeonseung, he was now very enthusiastic. The opponent looked at Choi Yeonseung and thought to himself, so he's a fighter, it's the first time I've fought with a fighter. I'll widen the distance as soon as the match starts and use level 2 floating magic. The referee shouted, the match will start soon. The bald guy planned, I will use enhanced missile magic. He probably won't know I have the guided missile passive skill. The referee announced, 3, 2, 1, start. The fight between the two officially began, and as soon as the match started he jumped into the air. While feeling self-satisfied, haha, I'm faster. As he was laughing smugly, Choi Yeonseung jumped up, delivered a punch to his face, causing him to be dazed and falling unconscious immediately. Everyone in the stands stared in amazement. Even the referee was astonished and couldn't close his mouth.